All right, so let's start this off. I'll first start by saying I was right, but that's not a pat on the back at all because I was right about the coaching moves and whatnot, but it was honestly the most obvious and probably the most expected route that we were expecting from the Bears organization. And so we have Matt Nagy coming back, of course, Trubisky coming back as the starter, and we have some coaches that got let go as scapegoats. And so I'm glad that I caught it late because I woke up late, but I was listening to the press conference and everything about the offseason moves was, we haven't figured that out yet. We haven't figured that out yet. We're going to do a reflection process. We're going to do an evaluation process. That must have been a quick process because not too long after that conference, they fired 4 coaches. And so I wanted to start here because this is pretty much what I said what would happen. And the reason it happens this way is because it's scapegoating. Please understand this, that as fans, you're never going to know how the coaching staff works. Unless you're a reporter with access to the Bears or you got connections to a player or a coach or someone in the Bears organization, if you're someone outside of Hallis Hall, you're not going to know how it works. You just don't, because it could be set up 100 different ways. And this is what they count on when they fire coaches like this, because they will just fire somebody and they can say, fans, see, look, we did something, and the fans don't know better. So they'll be like, yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, we got rid of the problem. And the fans are always trying to look for the problem, and it's not one problem. But anyway, this is the scapegoating, and this is what I expected them to do, because they don't want to get rid of Matt Nagy, but they want to be able to tell the fans, hey, look, we did something. Because, look, this is the honest truth. For me, I will never want to fire a position coach, or I should say, I would never think firing a position coach is an answer unless that coach blatantly isn't like doing their job, like not showing up practice, being late or missing meetings, all that good stuff. Or if it's some off the field type stuff, like that Dolphins coach that was snorting cocaine and crap. So outside of those 2 reasons, the only reason a position coach should be fired is when the head coach is leaving as well. Because in the NFL, they aren't affecting that much. So here's the way it's typically set up. Now, it could be different for each team, but again, for the most part, your coordinator is the one that's putting together the game plan. Now, play calling can be part of the duties, but honestly, it's not the biggest part of the job. That's like one of the only things fans talk about. And so that is a part, but it's not the biggest part. The biggest part for a coordinator is putting together the playbook and the game plan. So in the off season, you're in charge of teaching and implementing and installing the playbook. And that means letting your coaches know what you want to be taught, individual positions, and then putting it together in practice. Then going into the season, you're in charge of scouting and putting together the game plan, how you want to attack the defense, what's your top run plays, pass plays, all that good stuff. And then the play caller calls the plays based off that game plan, and the position coaches teach whatever it is you want them to teach throughout the week based off that. Now, a position coach, usually it's their job to teach the fundamentals and those drills. In the NFL, it can be less of that because they are professional players, but there's certain drills that certain coaches like to continue to run every day. But then mostly they're just in charge of teaching whatever the assignments and the fits and the philosophies of the scheme, especially week to week when you tweak things. And so you're just getting them ready. So if you're going to sit here and tell me that Harry Heastan is responsible for making Charles Leno a bad blocker, or Bobby Massey, who came in as a terrible blocker, a bad blocker, and what was Leno, like a 4th or 5th round pick, something like that, and you're going to tell me it's his fault? I just miss me with it. There's no way in the world I'm blaming Harry Heastan. And so, again, these are scapegoat moves that people as casual fans are just going to be like, okay, yeah, we're actually doing something. And that's why I predicted, and that's the route they went. Now, as far as play calling, let me throw this in here before I forget. Please go to the comment section and tell me what you think play calling is. Because I had this conversation earlier, and I'm still seeing the same talk. What is it that y'all consider play calling? Are you just talking about how many runs versus how many passes? Because whenever I hear the conversation about Matt Nagy's play calling, that's all I hear. Oh, you should have ran it right there. Are you talking about situational play calling? Oh, on third and short, we should do this. On second and long, we should do this type of play. Is that what you consider play calling? What is it that you mean by play calling? I would love to know, because I don't think it's the same thing I'm talking about. So anyway, going to the conference, to the press conference, let me just say this off top. Ryan Pace, if anything, is a great front man. He's a great front man. You think about people like Phil Emery as our last GM, and it was just like, or one of my last GMs, and it's just like, oh my God, you just don't believe that he knows what he's doing. And you don't believe what he's saying. Ryan Pace, I'll give him this. He knows how to say the right answers. He knows how to put on a face. He says things in a way where you can't trip him up. You really can't. He's not going to get baited by these questions. And so it's a lot of just what people say coach speak is, even though I think coach speak is a dumb term and isn't really real. Usually coaches saying things are accurate, but is what I would say is GM speak equivalent, because I swear he's good at dodging that stuff, and he's good at saying things in a way where it might not be what you want to hear, but you can't really deny what he said. And so I'll give him that. But Matt Nagy, not so much. You could tell by his body language, the way he was sitting there looking at Ryan Pace, he really was frustrated with the questions they were getting. And so here's my takeaway. I look at the things that Ryan Pace and Matt Nagy point out as reasons for bringing back Trubisky. And I just think it's ridiculous. I just think it's absolutely ridiculous. You're talking about the whole, his college experience, and then, the new year in the system. And you look around the league, we're not the only young quarterback struggling. We've seen this so many times. All these other young quarterbacks struggle. And I'm not comparing them to Mahomes and all that, because I agree with Ryan Pace on a few things. Like, they're talking about, well, you look around, see these other quarterbacks that you didn't draft. Who cared? Like, I don't compare quarterbacks to quarterbacks. They're completely different situations. We can talk about as prospects, but once they get in the NFL, you can't compare them. There's so many different factors. I agree with him there. But I will say, like, the idea that they're just like, okay, especially Nagy, like, first we wanted to start getting him comfortable with the verbiage, and now 202 this year we want to get him like with the stunts and the disguises. Now I want him to become a master of coverages. That's 303. That's the next level. And I'm like, this sounds like we're talking about a high school quarterback. And don't get me wrong, I know there's a lot of quarterbacks in the NFL that aren't great at recognizing coverage or stunts and all that. So not saying that he's the only one, but the way they talk about the timeline and the things they praise him for, it's just ridiculous to me. Like, he's like, oh man, you see, we get in this situation, and he checked it down. 10 weeks later, we in the same situation, and he didn't check it down. See, there's growth. And you hear Ryan Pace, you see it. You really do see it. You can see some of these throws. It's there. I promise you it's there. And I said this on the last episode, funny enough, is that bad players can make good plays. What people call bust, they can make good plays. A bad quarterback could make a great throw. A bad quarterback could have a great game, 2 games. A bad pass rusher could get 3 sacks in the season. A bad receiver could catch a couple touchdowns, some nice catches. Like, it's about consistency, as they mentioned. And that's the biggest word you heard all the time is consistency. And the people that look to the few examples to use as evidence to prove why they label somebody a good player, that's foolish. That's foolish in every academic, scientific, any type of way you look at it, that is foolish. You're looking at exceptions to prove the rule, and that's not how that works. So all this jumping up and down, yeah, you've seen him make that throw. You've seen, yeah, he slowly, yes, he can do some things. Yes, any NFL player in the right situation can do some things. It's about consistency. And so just listening to their reasoning for Trubisky, even listening to Ryan Pace's reasoning to keep Matt Nagy as play caller and all that while he was sitting there, that was awkward. I have to say that either Ryan Pace and Matt Nagy are tied to Trubisky by the organization, where they said, make it work and save face or y'all gone, or Ryan Pace is an idiot. It's one of the two. It really is one of the two. I really don't believe Matt Nagy is enthusiastic about Trubisky. I really don't think he is. There's no way he was with Pat Mahomes and is enthusiastic about Trubisky. So I fully believe he's tied to the Trubisky job. As they said, that's one of the reasons he came in, which is a stupid reason to hire a head coach. But Ryan Pace, I believe, is tied to Matt Nagy and Trubisky as well. I thought there might be some leeway where he could be locked in and survive it, but it doesn't seem like it. It seems like if they go down, he's going down with them. And so Matt Nagy's kind of Ryan Pace is kind of cheerleading. He's saying, yeah, all the right things, all the positive things about Nagy and Trubisky, and he's going to ride with them. It's either that or he's just dumb. I don't know what other way to say it. Like, because they pressed him about Trubisky pretty hard, and they pressed him about the offense and the play calling. He was like, "Oh, the play calling is good. I have no reason. Why change it? Like, what? What are you talking about?" And then he kept bringing up last year. You saw it last year, guys. We saw it. We saw it. I have to believe a GM understands the factors, because he kept talking a lot about factors. So I guarantee he understands the factors that went into last year and this year, as far as why you might be successful and why you might not be. And so I do believe he knows. And in my heart, I believe he's just tied to them and he has to say those things. But there's a possibility he's just stupid. So that's just what I took away from it, because the way they just talking about Trubisky, and then they asked him, like, if there's a starting caliber quarterback, would you get him to really have an open competition? No, man, Mitch is our starter, after he just said they value competition at each position. So he don't actually want anybody to compete with Trubisky. Just like last year, everybody thought we wasn't going to go with Chase. They thought we was going to get somebody else to push Trubisky. No, it's the same thing this year. They are going all in on Trubisky. So I don't know if it's ego, because I don't know if it's like I want to be right, or I don't know if it's the organization saying you made him the pick, you better make him work. I don't know which one it is, but for whatever reason, they're all in on Trubisky, and it's sad. It's really sad. So that's what I got from there. He also said the whole O-line is coming back, but there's going to be other competition, of course, but they're all under contract. And Shaheen, which I'm okay with, you already know. But the way he's talked about those people was just like, they're under contract. If they weren't, they'd be dead. But they're under contract, so they're coming back. So yeah, that's what I got from that. But overall, look, for me, I understand it's a business, and we all got to understand that. I wouldn't even say outside of high school, because if you go to a high performing high school, it's a business. It's a political thing. And you go to college, it's 100% a business if you're a D1. And then the NFL is 1,000% a business. So you got to put on the face, the company face. You got to say the right things. You got to shake the right hands. And you got to kind of go by the whims of the owners. And people were saying that we should get rid of the owners. I agree. We should get rid of every owner, but outside of maybe Jerry Jones. But because none of them know what they doing. They're just the money part. Like, honestly, in the perfect football world, there'd be a way where owners couldn't make any decisions on the football side besides like hiring their main operation person and then letting them make all the other decisions. But in a perfect world, the owners wouldn't be involved in any of it because this is what you get. You get the politics. So you can say, look, it's what is it called? It's dead something, not dead weight, or no, sunken costs. It's sunken costs. You can say, look, we made the pick with Trubisky. We gave up the stuff we did. It's over with. He's not working out. Let's move on. Let's cut bait now. There's no law against it. We see some teams make those moves. But most of the time, you got people with money and pride, and they're like, no, make it work or you're done. And that's so stupid. Like, I don't think Ryan Pace is great by any means. But if you thought you had some talent in that GM or that coach, and you're going to just throw them to the wayside because they didn't make a certain player work, I think that's absolutely ridiculous. If it's me, I would do a lot of things different. But if it's me, I'm sitting there. I would like to be in the conversations, but I'm like, what's the best move? And you know what I mean? Because the best bosses, the best supervisors, the best things I've been around in life and football and everything, they sit there and say, no, take away the restrictions, take away the money restrictions, take away this and that. Tell me what you think is best. And so if you set Ryan Pace down and you said take away the attachment to Trubisky and the pick and this and that, what do you think is best? That's how I would rather operate. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, you're rebuilding because I said I would. Funny enough, I said I would take advantage of our championship window and get rid of Nagy and bring in another coaching staff. And people are like, oh, so you want to rebuild. Didn't I just say that's to take advantage of the window? Like, some people think that change just means rebuilding. No, that's not the case. It does not have to be the case. And so I do believe there's moves that people consider unconventional that can work. And we've seen a few teams out there do it. But by and large, these owners handicap people. And we see what the Browns do with theirs. We've seen the Steelers really how it's paid dividends for them trusting in people. It's a lot of ways you can go about it, but I agree the owners really mess things up. And so to me, it's kind of the worst case scenario. Everybody's tied to Trubisky, and Trubisky's going to take them all down. So that's what we're looking at. I know people are going to ask me about the offense coordinator. I don't know. I have no idea who it's going to be. And again, I don't know how it's set up, so it's not really fruitful for me to even go into it a whole bunch. You can talk about the strengths that somebody brings, but we don't know how the coaching staff is set up. So I don't know. And honestly, I don't think it's going to matter a whole bunch. So, all right, but that's it for me. Go down in the comment section. Let me know what you thought about the moves. Let me know what you thought about the press conference, all that stuff. Share it around, get the conversation started. If you made it to the end of this, what do we want to say? If you made it to the end of this, put new ownership in your comment. All right. So anyway, share it around, get the conversation started. Thumbs up, subscribe. Remember, stay up and bear down.